don't know if you, I mean, it's up to you guys, but if we all have the agenda open and you want to, you know, not share manually, I'm fine with that too.
I'm easy. Does everyone have it open?
I do.
Okay, I cannot share. And then it looks like Q, you're going to kick us off.
Yeah, and perfect timing because I'm going to share a document with you while we talk about the budget.
Well then.
So July 1st, we started with the new budget. We just got the final invoice from Randy, and I'm hoping that there are no other changes. There were a couple of changes that we had to do, but it didn't affect the overall number, the last invoice. So let me just scroll all the way to the end. You really don't need to see everything else in between the, you know, the monthly invoices and whatnot. So what I really want to bring your attention to is, if this will stop scrolling, it's just basically here. Can I go further? Yeah. That way you can see the column titles and all those other good stuff. So just a quick rundown. Here we have the total, what we've basically have spent for the director, leaving us with the 5 cents balance. TTA coaches, we have $18,700 left over. CALA facilitation team, we have about $11,000 left over. PD webinar, it doesn't look like we spent anything. Unless the ETEs were not separated properly or they weren't identified as PD webinars. But basically we had $18,000.
We didn't.
Yeah, we didn't do any, right?
We didn't do any, but we're using part of that money to support, oh, never mind. Yeah, Sharina Better is at the director's event.
Okay.
Remember, that's how we were going to justify having a plenary speaker for the director's event.
Is that for next year? I'm sorry, for this 23, 24?
Correct. We should, yeah, we didn't spend anything in 20 through 23, but the idea was that that's the pot that Sharina Betters is coming out of.
Got it. Okay.
In
So
23, 24.
Okay, so it looks like this is correct. Then 18,000 basically unspent. Couple positions we were budgeted just right. Veronica, we had budgeted for her, I believe it was the additional 4% for her doctorate. They didn't start her until I think it was a month or two later, but we had budgeted just enough or more than enough for that. So it was a matter of when personnel decided to start that 4%. So there was some money left over, but otherwise we would have come really close or came really close. As far as admin assistance concerned, Holly, that's yours. That was probably the overtime that you had I believe, back when we did the online summit, if I remember correctly. There was some overtime that was claimed, so that's why it was
maybe, but I would think it would be minimal. If there was, it may have been, I mean, there may have been, I don't recall back that far, but I wouldn't think it would be that much.
I can check on it.
I felt like it was like 10 to 20 hours, I thought.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
I don't remember. It all just runs together for me. That's fine.
No,
honestly, it doesn't even matter at this
Okay.
point. You know, the books are closed. I just wanted to explain why we have a negative for
Okay.
the most part. But yeah, if you want me to look into it, I'd be more than happy to look into it.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Mia, we have $2,100 left over in her budget / contract. These are just the benefits, unused benefits from the balances from salaries, from certificated and classified salaries up on top. Supplies, $984. Equipment, $2,400 left over. And this is really just the meat of everything besides salaries and benefits. So travel, you can see there's money left over, rent, phone, postage, etc. IMS contract that we have. This is for the OTAN contract that we have. 3Play, we have $20,000 left over. Plenary, we used up everything. James Hayes, excuse me. We stepped everything. Let's see, licenses and software, 233, other operating costs, just the miscellaneous stuff, so about 12,000. And we didn't use anything in the reserves, obviously, because we didn't spend most of the stuff down. All in all, we have about $150,000 we're going to carry over into the new fiscal year. This also, this plus the new balance for the 23-24 year. So for year 2, we budgeted $961,269. So the sum of these two, we're looking at, let's see, what is that? 1109. So a little over $1.1 million for the operating budget for this year. Any questions about any of the expenses year-end closing?
I'm a little concerned about Mia's leftover balance because to my knowledge, she billed out all of her available hours. So what would have caused that large remaining balance?
Did we or did we not say that we were gonna? I thought Veronica had given up some of her hours to Carrick because Carrick needed more of her time on her ETE contract at some point. I don't deal with the contracts, the numbers, so I don't really know what goes on during the week unless, I'm sorry, during the year, unless we have a discussion during our weekly meetings, and I have it in my notes. But I remember CAEP giving up some hours on her ETE contract to
We
give
gave up
to
50.
Carrick.
50 hours, I think it was.
Yeah, something to that
Okay.
effect.
Okay, so that's what that would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anything that isn't spent here just kind of gets rolled over. I'm not going to bring these individual balances into the new year. We're just going to bring the 148,000 into the new year. Okay.
So bottom line, we have to get really creative with spending money and know that we're going to have a really flush year this year and a really tight year next year. More than likely, right? Because we're in the last year of our grant cycle. I don't know that we'll ask to carry over the funding. I don't know if there's much benefit to that.
I don't know that they would allow it, yeah. Like to get.
Yeah, they
creative
allowed
and
it.
spend
Yeah, they allowed it last time, if I recall correctly. But it was a different set of people, right? Or was it? I think it was a different set of people. So but if we spend it down, it looks like we needed that money, right? We made quite a case for needing a lot more money than we got.
Right.
And so I would say we're being good stewards of our funds, and not just spending willy-nilly. But on the other hand, what this looks like to the chancellor's office is that we don't even need the amount that we got.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to the degree that we can be creative about how to spend down some of that money. For example, and this is not a quick way to spend down that money, but for example, if we know that we could, we're down a full person at the moment. If we knew that maybe some of the temp exempts could pick up like some other work for us, I'm going to use an example. Maybe we could get somebody to do the newsletter for us, because that's like a very, locked in task, and pay that person X number of, hours per month to manage the newsletter. And that takes something off of somebody's plate, and somebody else, the job is still getting done. And if we're using our existing ETEs, it would be easier. We wouldn't have to hire anybody new. The only thing that I don't know is, if we wanted to get really strict about, their job description matching their task.
I have a question. Is there a possibility with excess funds that like Mandalee and I could work out of class for the work that I think that we're probably taking on currently being short-staffed? I was thinking about hiring, like, could we get in a temp office person to help out? But the reality is by the time you get that person trained on what needs to happen, the need may not be there. Would that be an option?
I don't believe so. I asked about the PS1. I'm sorry, is it PS1 position? And at that point, I was told no. I haven't asked about others. I would be cautious to do that, only because we're setting a precedent for, we're not going to be able to afford that next year, for example. And if in fact we're working out of class, we should be doing this all differently.
Well, we wouldn't need to afford it next year, right? Because we'll be back up to 3 people. I don't know. I just know that in the past,
Yeah.
I have been, SCOE allows you to work out of class up to 90 days. I've done it for Cape Tap in the past when we were out a PS1. I took over that role for 90 days. And I think SCOE does it quite often.
Okay, let me look into it. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. This is the first time hearing about it.
Okay. Just an idea.
Mhm.
It's not nearly a dent in what the funds are, but I also feel like part of this leftover funds could be because we were so late getting our contract underway that we just didn't get the services up and going and billable hours right in July 1st.
To some degree, potentially, yeah. You're talking about why we missed on some of these,
Yeah.
some of these like the PD monies and stuff like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you have other ideas about, thoughts on how to spend down some of that money, it doesn't need to be today. And I know we're trying to stay on our timeline, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
Well, I think we're right at time, so I don't want to take time away from Q unless you're done, but I will say briefly, and this is something we can all consider, is maybe something like if we are going to go the route of like an ET or attempt exempt role for someone to come on that can take over some of the 508 compliance pieces, remediating documents. Since we are doing a revamp of the website, there might be additional documents that didn't go through the first pass that could be remediated. And I can tell you right now, that will take care of any carryover. Because based on what we did for the first round of documents, maybe I'm thinking wrong, but I think it was like 25,000, and we didn't push through. We had 3 different quotes of levels of work that could be done for the document remediation. And it's pretty pricey, but it's still valuable.
One thing I was really surprised, I thought we were going to spend down the entire 3-play.
Yeah, and so did I. A lot of the estimates that I do it always on the high end. And then as it was, I check it every month. We pushed through a ton of this older summit videos that we were waiting for to see where our budget landed. And they just came in, I want to say they came in about 10,000 less than what I had budgeted out. I knew we weren't going to hit the total mark based on the time when we were trying to push through all of those videos. But yeah, I did have that conversation, and I did review, and I looked back at all of my my forecasting, and I kind of did like a formula to see, okay, where were we off, and that was it. So I mean, good and bad, right? So I think the good part is because we've been working with 3-play, I think they're used to some of the acronyms. They're not taking as long to remediate. I plugged in a bunch of like keywords and names, so those are a lot easier for them to remediate and then turn around quicker for us. The other side is that we over budgeted, so I apologize.
No, don't apologize. I was just curious why we didn't meet it. So no, this is very informative. It's good information, so it helps with budgeting and all those other good stuff. I don't want to take up any more time because I know that we've already got all right, but I do want to answer Holly's question about, well, not question, suggestion about using the remaining funds. Maybe we can meet again because I feel like we're going to go down this rabbit hole. We talk about what we're going to buy, what we can buy, and all this other good stuff because the sky's the limit, for the most part. So maybe we'll schedule a meeting whenever you guys are available.
Yeah, it was just a last minute ditch effort if we're in that boat rather than show unspent funds. I'd rather it be spent on that But in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather it not be spent on that, because I think there are so many services we could be offering to the field with these funds, that would be my preference over reducing their summit registration cost. That's not helpful to the field as a whole. And I think that we have products that we can put this money in.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be able to use the money from this year to reduce the costs of next year's summit, unfortunately, because of the way, if we were to buy supply. I don't, we can talk more about it, but yeah, we'll come up with ideas, and then when we do meet, let's hash those out. Okay. And then I only had one question for Holly. Do you know what the count is, the current count for registration?
I think we were at 373 this morning.
373. Okay, thank you.
373 or
Oh, I just checked, up to 374.
okay.
Yay. Okay.
Yes.
And this includes the 18 comp, correct? Anytime you give me the numbers, that includes 18 comp, right?
If they've registered.
Yeah. Oh, got it.
No one
Okay.
from the chancellor's office is registered. And I don't know that anyone from Cape Tap. Oh, Lisa.
I did.
Yes. So Cape, not Cape Tap, CC Tap. I think this includes everyone but the chancellor's office.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so then next, are we ready to move forward on to open POs and expenditure contracts? Okay, so we got good news. I think it was yesterday evening around 8 o'clock. Dr. Better's contract has been officially approved and signed. It is in place. So that's great. We did, I did finalize a new ET position submission this morning.
I'm sorry, you guys, there's background noise.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry. My son was talking. I didn't realize you could hear. We did finalize the submission for Veronica becoming an ETE this morning. And so now we just have to wait for personnel to process and approve. As far as open as purchase orders, Q, I think I need to work with you and get the purchase orders set up for the 2 venues. We have paid the deposits on both, and I've submitted the direct bill application for the Hilton Universal Studios. But no one has done anything with it at SCOA yet. I emailed Nick again this morning to see where we were at with that process. That will allow us to pay an invoice after the fact via an open PO. So I think I just want to meet with you after this and just confirm the amounts that you think we should put those for. We don't want to, we can have an overage in the PO, but we don't want to be short in the PO.
Yeah.
Okay. So
honestly, go as high as you want to. As high as you think that we're going to need, because whatever we don't spend, it just gets released anyway.
Okay. So what I was going to do is I was going to take what's in the contract currently, what I think our expenses are currently based on the estimates they provided, reduce the deposit, and then build in like maybe a 10% buffer or a 15% buffer.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Just in case we have to add any AV that we weren't expecting, or, something.
Right. Or if we happen to go over, the 450 count, if we need more food and all those other good stuff, that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Because at this point, it looks like we will go over the 450 as my assumption.
I hope so. Yeah.
So that's it for that. Are there any questions on expenditure contracts, Renee? I know that we're going to have some new expenditure contracts starting up this year for, I think, has High Road Alliance one?
High Road Alliance is one. That might be, I mean, there'll be the plenary speakers for next year and stuff like that too. But yeah, High Road Alliance will be the next one, probably in the next week or so. In fact, I was going to ask, can you pull up their last contract that included the 3-year plan, so I can just see that language that we used? I think I might just use that language, use the cost. I think we were at what, 33,500 or something for that in the budget. And then I'm just letting the Chancellor's Office and CDE know that I'm working with High Road Alliance to establish this budget, but we can continue to work on the scope of work is basically what I'm going to say. Okay. But for a given We're given set price.
Okay.
So, and then do you have any idea what that timeline for the ET contract is with Veronica?
I do not. We haven't done this since we were part of tech services. So I can reach out to Michelle and ask her what the timeline is, but I don't know it right now.
If you
Can
could
I-
do that and get back to me before 10:45 tomorrow. I'm meeting with Veronica at 10:45 tomorrow. It'd be nice to give her an update.
Okay.
Can
Thank
I
you.
ask really quick, how did it become an expenditure contract to an ETE? Was there like a story behind that?
Legal.
Legal, okay.
No, it wasn't legal. It was actually business. It was payroll.
Payroll, Juanita. Yes.
It was, they don't, I guess it was going to be a audit finding if they had a W-2 and a 1099 in the same year. And so they wouldn't sign it. So
Isn't that what we said before though? I mean, we said that we couldn't go back and forth if we determine if a person's going to be an employee, they have to be an employee versus, unless of course they go off and have a business, right?
the last time, I'm sorry, what I was told was that I couldn't do an ETE. I don't remember the reason why, but I remember you guys all kind of questioning, why can't we do an ETE? But when I had a meeting with the personnel director and Dr. Hirota, I was told that the best route to go was an expenditure contract. That was going to be the quickest and the most expeditious way to get her on board. So that's what we did. And then this got stopped, what, a week and a half ago, Holly? Nobody said anything until Holly reached out, maybe Tuesday morning this week and said, can you give us an update or can you move it along or what have you? And that's when Juanita said, oh, you guys are having a conversation, like with business services, basically people were supposed to have a discussion with me that didn't happen. And so that's when it came to light that they had a concern about moving it forward. And then I was given two options. One, that Veronica either had to demonstrate that she had her own LLC so that she was doing this. So it legitimized her
A business license, right?
Right. Or the ETE, but those are the two choices. And so given that I don't think she has an LLC, we decided to start the ETE route. I have emailed her and told her to reach out if she wants to by phone, but I'll talk to her tomorrow, if not before that.
And I think that originally the delay was truly because she's not certificated and the only ET position we had was certificated. So in essence of time, we were directed to do an expenditure contract.
That's right. Yeah.
This is just so confusing. I mean, everything that I had said about, W-2 versus 1099, and then her being ETE would be preferable versus an expenditure contract. Even if we didn't have a position, classified ETE position, it shouldn't stop us from, making her an ETE versus a subcontractor. And I was really surprised that they waived the whole business license thing. So someone's not, we have departments that aren't talking to each other, and it's really confusing because everything that I was taught, everything I was told, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, we're going to go this other route. And it's so confusing. And then now we're back to this again. And it makes it seem like we're not doing our due diligence on our end here. And we're acting like we're chickens without their heads, going around wondering, what are we supposed to do? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so confusing. Okay. I just having a hard time keeping up with the rules now.
I just think the most unfortunate thing, I think, people aren't looking at it with the full picture, right? So I think if you had everybody sitting in a room together, they would be able to kind of say, well, this is what happens if it's an ETE. This is what happens if it's an expenditure contract. But like, for example, personnel and Dr. Groda only had one piece of the picture, right? And, payroll and business services had another piece of the picture, but they weren't putting it together necessarily to create the full piece. And then there was a breakdown in communication as far as like reaching out to me to even alert me to a concern. So Yeah, so it's unfortunate. And the person that's, is kind of stuck in it all is Veronica, but anyhow, so.
I just emailed Michelle, and sorry, my internet's acting up, and asked what the timeline was. So hopefully she'll get back to me today. She's not always super responsive, but we'll see.
No, that'd be good. Yeah, I just think with any of these contracts, we know that communication is challenged, and a lot of departments are running short-staffed. So I would just say, as soon as we think that we might need a contract, let's get it going, right? Let's not wait. Let's not think, oh, we only need 3 or 4 months. I mean, if we know 6 months out that we're going to need somebody, let's just get that process started.
Especially since legal's now saying get to build in a month for them.
Yeah. They're down 2 I think. They're down
Right.
2 folks. And I think one of their people that they have right now is part-time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's challenging. So it's, nobody's, it's not anybody else's emergency, right? So it's kind of, to them, it's, it's just doing business. It's just, takes time.
I will say
So-
that the flip side of that and the good side of that is they have moved to accepting signatures by our contracts electronically. We no longer have to mail it to them, wait for them to mail it back. That is it has sped up the process.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, that was a long-winded, but.
So that's where we're at. So now into integration.
Yeah, so I do want to just say, I have a 3 o'clock meeting and it's with Doug. So I want to, and I'll have to jump off at probably about 5 minutes till. But on my list to talk of with Doug is the kind of where we're at with the model programs and those videos, and even if he has the capacity to do it. So that's on my list, and something else too. I can't remember what.
I have reached out to IMS to get a copy of the contract. I reached out to financial. They said, reach out to IMS. I've reached out to her. She sent me one that was for Ray. I have requested one for Doug, but now I'm wondering, Q, and we can follow up after the meeting. Did we do one for Doug? Was the only one we did for Ray?
Well, he's not in IMS anymore. He's in communications. So it might have been done through communications. No?
But was he communications July 1st?
Yeah.
So this is going to be a little tricky.
Not July 1st of last year, but July 1st
July
of this year.
Yeah. We probably don't have a contract with Doug per se, but doesn't mean that we don't have a budget for Doug's work. Renee, we can either do a contract with communication for Doug's time, or we can do a contract with OTAN for Doug's time. And my suggestion is to do one with OTAN and have that money come back into the adult and local, as opposed to going to communication, only if he has the capacity and the time and all those other good stuff to do that with the time that he has with OTAN, because it's kind of tricky. So,
yeah, I'm not sure he's going to have the capacity, which is why I wanted to kind of have that phone call sooner than later. And then I don't know if we have anybody on staff within IMS that would be able to take that on. I don't know. So we'll have to ask. And then if that doesn't work, we'll have to come up with an alternative way to recognize, those model programs.
Okay.
All right. So anyhow, let me get back. So the integration, I don't really know what to say.
Good intention. I would say, well, this site created this when I was hoping we would be able to talk a little bit about the vision statement, but I would say the integration has really good intentions, but unfortunately no action at this point as CCTAP finds their feet and are just becoming familiar with their staff. I think that's a good nutshell.
That's a very positive spin on it too. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? When you're just launching as a completely new entity, you have 100% new staff, many of them brand new to adult ed and CAEP. So anyhow, I would say that it's going to be a slow process. It's going to be a slow process. I think this whole first year is going to just be them kind of picking up little pieces here and there as they can. They seem very overwhelmed. We talked about a potential visioning process yesterday, and we just heard, maybe give us 6 months, give us some time, because we don't even know who we are yet, really. We're still trying to establish that. So I think we need to give a little grace to our partners, and hopefully they do the same with us, right? So understanding that we still need, we have a job to do, we need to continue. So anyhow, I am meeting with Lisa on Monday. I believe I sent an invite to Holly and to Mandalee to join me if you want. It's going, and Q, if you want to as well, you're welcome. On Monday at the Tower Cafe downtown, right off of 50. And so we're going to meet at 11:30 for about an hour, have lunch and just chat. But anyhow, so if you are coming, please just shoot me an email so that I know to expect you when we arrive.
Okay, I'm planning on it.
Okay. All right. Either Q or Holly, do you think you might come?
I have a meeting on Monday. If I can reschedule that, then yeah, you can go ahead and count me in. I'll let you know.
And I'm following up to see if I can arrange to be there. I do have a procedure on Monday. And of course, I'll got a message in for daycare to see if they can take her.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really up to you. It's really just going to be kind of a meet and greet. I don't expect it to be a lot of deep talking about work. I just, it's just let's develop that relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Renee, for the next 2 items, I think I've kind of surmised where we are, unless anyone wants, just in the interest of time, if you guys want to just kind of read those bullets, and if there are questions, ask.
I have for TTA, I am trying to work with Jay to get access to consortium level data for Carol. That's maybe the only additional thing. All right. And then Mandalee, I was going to ask if you could, when you send out the invite to Canvas, if you could also resend the Padlet link to make sure that people are completing that. And if you guys have go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so it's going to be 2 things. It's one, it'll be an invitation pushed out from Canvas itself, but then I'm going to follow up with an email so I can add all of the same pieces that I did in the initial messaging, which is the disc, I think, reminder, as well as the Padlet link.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Has everyone reviewed those items? So I think we can move on then to the summit. I think we were all in the summit meeting, so we could potentially just skip this. Outside of, I will say, for the plenary speaker, I reached out to my girlfriend, who it's like a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend kind of a thing, but she's is on good terms with one of Thurman's staff and personal friends. So I was like, bend his ear. So,
nice.
So we'll
Good.
see. So we'll see what comes of it. So she was just getting clarification earlier today. If she's like, so you want the vice chancellor or Thurman? I'm like, no, it's both. And I will provide context if necessary. I'm even open to a conversation. If that happens, I'll let you know in any new developments. But it's a very like just throwing a Q-tip at a big problem. We'll see if it actually hits. It's pretty light, my little push, but hopefully we'll see if it does anything.
It would be
That's
about
about
30 minutes of scheduled. And I can forward you what I sent to his scheduler, or
Okay.
you can let her know that we did make a request via the scheduler.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, if you would send that to me, that would be really helpful.
Mhm.
Thank you. And then, so unless there's any other pieces on the summit, since we were all just sat in on that meeting this morning, we can skip to Holly, Cape Summit 2024.
Sorry, I had to get back to the Zoom screen and off of the agenda. Okay, so Cape Summit 2024. I just don't even know what to wrap my head around this. So the exhibitor reel. We have communicated with all of our exhibitors. We possibly have a new exhibitor this morning. I was contacted by, unfortunately, we had opened up our proposal link so that Christy Reyes and Erica Duran could resubmit their two proposals into one. And we talked to Justin. Justin said the best way to do that was truly just to have them resubmit it. So he unlocked it for them. And during that time that it was unlocked, we received a new proposal. I reached out to them and I let them know that unfortunately we are full. They caught it, that 2-hour window, but they're from Immigrants Rising. And so they've asked if there's any way that they could have a table. So I've kind of put that out to them, what the options include, and they're going to let me know. We've reached out to all other exhibitors to request the video for them, video montage to be compiled into one. We have some prizes for the drawing, not nearly enough. This is the time that I would ask that if anyone else has any contacts, let me know. If you guys can reach out, or if you give me their contacts, I can reach out. We'll take anything. It can be Amazon gift card. It can be anything.
Can I throw something out there? Employee
Sure.
recognition, they have a whole bunch of gift cards that was given to us by Buckmaster and Office Depot and all those other good stuff. I'm just wondering, can we reach out to purchasing and ask? And I know that, Patrick's not a favorite or anything of that sort, but maybe reach out to Nick Lamantina to see if he has a contact for these vendors, and maybe we can call up the vendors and ask if they can provide donation. In turn, we can, I guess, basically promote their company.
We have in the past, and we've been pretty much shut down, saying that they give to SCOE and they're not going to be giving to the individual departments within SCOE. I don't know that would have changed since 2019, but they did in the past. Well, typically probably for this one too, they give so much for SCOE. SCOE doesn't want us infringing upon their donors, because then they may get less for recognition. So SCOE's always wanted us to get our own.
Got it.
But I can reach out to Nick and ask him and explain the situation and ask him if he has any contacts for us. Maybe they're not the ones that donate to Recognition Day. Maybe he has new businesses that we're contracting with that might be willing to do something. So I will absolutely look into that. Making a note. 62. And then Mandalee, do you want to cover model programs, or do you want me to go over what's been done? Or
Sure. Well, I saw the email that you sent to Renee. I would say that Holly and I met, we reviewed the model programs, and we went ahead and scored, but we had to do everyone that was on the back end of the submission. So it just takes more time. Angela was creating an export for us that we could put into one document for you, Renee, and Q, if you would like to also review and score. So we can come up with the top 2 scoring model programs so we can issue that letter. Today's the 17th. I was really hoping to have a letter sent out by the 25th. Because I'm hoping that we'll have that, the model program extract. I'm thinking Friday, Monday, Renee, so that gives you a week. Q, again, let me know if you want to be part of that. Friday, Monday, that will give you about, ideally, maybe 3 days. If you could let us know Wednesday, if you could score by Wednesday.
Is there a lot of training that I'm going to need to have before I dive into it?
It's a rubric that's provided. It's 0, 1, 2, 3 is the score. And if you would like to be part of that, I can add you to the scorecard. And then once that gets released, I'll share it with both you and Renee.
Yeah, that'd be a great opportunity to learn.
Okay. Yeah. And then also happy to go over that with you. So you're not flying blind.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I don't think Angela's going to be available until Monday at the earliest to get that extract.
Okay.
She's coming back tomorrow, but she's scheduled to be in interviews all day. Q, do you know when those interviews are scheduled?
Yeah, from 9 to 3 tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. So just depending on her schedule for that, she may or may not be available to do other additional stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll play that part by ear then.
Yeah.
As far as printing, I think we're on track for design, getting everything to Ray by the 23rd. So we should hit our printing deadline date.
How many programs are we printing? The entire number of registrants, or
No.
They have the opportunity, I think, just like TDLS, right, to select if they would like a paper program. So I think we'll use that number and then do like a 10% overage. I don't know what typical.
I would do a little bit more, because you have people that are coming back, that came back. This is either they've lost their program, and especially because this is a 3-day event.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just do a little bit more.
What do you recommend, like 15 or 20?
20.
Okay. And it's and it's something that we can also use as like historical, and we can share and give to other people around.
What do you mean 20 or 15?
20%.
20% overage. So if 300 people say they want a printed program.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you will get those that leave them in their hotel room. They come down the next morning and go, oh, I forgot my program. I'll just grab another.
Oh yeah, that'd be me. So fair, fair point.
CCAE was charging $10 a pop.
Ooh,
Really?
And maybe even, definitely 10, because I know who's our Barstow person, Elena. She wanted one, and so she went and bought one. $10.
Oh my gosh.
was it a booklet or something?
It was the same as what we would make a program.
Oh my gosh.
I think they just they just put the cost out to the participants.
Okay,
Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if I was if this was a for-profit event, I'd be all for that. All right.
Okay, so the CAEP Summit 2024, legal made their final suggestions. They didn't actually ask us to change anything that I'm aware of, although that would not have come back to me. It would have gone to Nick. Nick said it's past legal review. We're ready for the RFA. The RFA lasts 30 days if it stays open. He did ask me for contacts of previous hotels that we have reached out to so that he can send a direct invite to them to apply to the RFP. And he said, we're going to get many, proposals in anyways, but that way, all the people that I reached out to in Sacramento, because that's where we'll be next year, is Northern California. So any people that we have worked with in the past in Northern California, I provided him with that information. So we're at this point, we're just waiting for the bidding process to close, and then they will send us a list of all the proposals, and we will go from there. We'll have to review them and make some decisions.
So our goal is to have it in Sacramento?
In Northern California. So it can be San Francisco, Oakland, possibly not the Marriott. So probably not Oakland, because I think the Marriott's the only one down there, but there's still it's a great hotel. It's a great location. I just think this year is a little too soon. We still have a bad taste in our mouth. So it may have to wait 2 more years for us to forget about that a little bit. Sacramento. I mean, Sacramento is probably going to be a likely. It could be San Francisco.
Okay. All right. So we're at 2:53.
Yeah, I don't know that I need to talk too much about the CAEP directors event. I feel like we've been, I think we're on track to have everybody doing their thing. The one session that I feel is at least mapped out is maybe the one on the 3-year planning guidance, but I feel like that's still doable. I'm not panicking yet.
Okay.
We'll get there.
All right, then I guess, so as far as like upcoming professional development opportunities, Jay reached out. I just need to circle back to him. I did tell him that the dates he proposed are good for September. I want to say it's the 6th and the 26th. We can definitely accommodate that. I just need him to provide the description, which I haven't received. I did say it, I think I emailed it twice, like send me the description, just send me the description. So I'll just hound him a little bit. And then I think I'll even add Jackie. Is it Jackie? Yeah. What's the other gal there at CASAS?
Jane?
No, there's another one that she helps with all the events, and she kind of is like Jay's
Jody.
right hand. No.
Jody Slater. Oh.
Well, yeah, no. I think it's Jackie, because she's the one that just got married. She helps kind of organize Jay. So I'm gonna kind of
I don't know it, Jackie. That's interesting.
I could be making up the name, but it starts with a J. And she just got married. Now I'm gonna search. Anyhow, at any rate, that's the update. I will now be driven crazy figuring out the name. So I'll let everybody know as soon as I do. So if I can move, if everyone's okay, I can move on to the annual plan.
Yeah, Renee, do you have to leave it as 2:50?
Yeah, I do. You guys, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay,
Bye.
So the annual plan, as of this morning, what you see there are the most up-to-date numbers. 62 consortia have approved, 6 are in submission status. And of the 3 that are in draft, 2 of the consortia have fully completed all of the pieces. I think they just need to hit submit. So I sent out messages to them, provide, offering technical assistance. Haven't heard anything unless you know differently, Holly. But at this point, this is kind of status. I hate to say the word, but this is kind of status quo for them as far as the whole, right? Like they usually are a couple days to maybe a week late, but I'm not really concerned at this point because from the 15th to the 17th, I had 10 consortia, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 consortia who hadn't approved, and 3 of them in the last day have signed off. So I'm seeing progress as I go into the annual plan. So I'm not overly concerned, with the exception of consortia 57 who hasn't touched it. That is the one concern I have.
Who's consortium 57? Maybe you don't mind me asking.
No, not at all.
Is that Sequoias?
I think Sequoia's 59. Hold on. I don't mind you asking. I just don't know the number off the top of my head. Q, so give me 2 seconds and I'll look that part up for you.
John Warner. That better not be John Warner.
No, he's usually on. Well,
Sequoia's John Warner, right?
Oh,
maybe 57. 50. Oh yeah, you're right. 57 is Sequoia. It is John Warner. All right. Well, I'm gonna just jump on that then.
John
to be fair,
Warner? Really?
John will probably, but he will probably have something like in a document, and maybe he's just gonna like push it all in. But he does usually need pushing.
But you know what though? One of John's member reps reached out to me the other day and said, I don't know how to do the annual plan. Can you blah, 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 blah. He left me a voicemail. I called him back and said, there is nothing for you to do with the annual plan. There is a template your consortium lead would likely send to you to gather your input. Then they combine it into one. You'll get an email to approve. And he said, when I called him back and told him, he goes, yeah, he goes, actually, after I called you, I called our consortium lead and he said he's taking care of it. He's on it, not to worry about it, and just to wait for the email.
Perfect. I appreciate that. So that's a better update than I could give. Thank you, Holly.
Well, I didn't realize that was the one that was causing you probably lack of sleep at night.
I mean, at this point, that's not what's causing me lack of sleep.
Are we done with the agenda? Can I stop the recording?
Yes, you may now.